Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. Welcome back to the show. We have a great guest today. Of course, many of you that watch the show, you know I'm on location today away from the DotCom Magazine International Studios. But when I had a chance to invite Mr. John Wodka on the show, I took it. So I had to go away from the worldwide studio into the satellite studio because he's a very busy guy. So when I had a chance to book him, I said, let's go. He, of course, is the founder and owner of Platform Creator. And let me tell you, we love talking about digital strategy. We love talking about digital marketing. John is one of the leading experts in digital strategy. Him and his team do such great work. We're going to put up some of the work throughout the interview. But before we get started, John, I wanted to welcome you to the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Great to be here, Andy.
Yeah, it's great to have you, John. You do such great work. You have so many years of experience. You're a humble guy, but the kind of work you and your team put out there is really remarkable. So before we get started, John, let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet like you know we always do on the show. Tell us about Platform Creator, and then we're going to get into it.
Sure. So it was kind of born out of a necessity from my clients when I was over 10 years ago. I noticed a lot of my agency clients didn't have a good digital presence. And so it was a little bit piecemeal. It's like, hey, can you build a website for us? Then it's like, hey, can you do social media? So we started adding these services as we went on. Eventually, what we found is not everybody should start out with a website or a social media platform. They need to kind of start at the beginning and find out more about what their brand messaging should be, learn a little bit more about your own customers. So we really like to start there where we interview your customers. We find out a little bit about their beliefs and why they came to you, and peel back those layers so that you can better understand how to reach more of your best customers.
Yeah, John, it's really interesting. Of course, we talk about minimal viable product, and sometimes people put a product out or a service and they don't even know what the customer's wants and needs are. So you're really good at figuring that out for your potential clients, John. Let's talk about it a little bit because people reach out to you, they've heard about you, they've seen you, lecture, they've seen some of your videos online, they've read about you. When a potential client reaches out to you and your team, what does that first conversation sound like, John? Do you get into the who, what, where, when, and hows, or how do you sort of handle the first call, the first introduction to Platform Creator?
Yeah, people come to us for a variety of different reasons. A lot of times it's search engine optimization, and they don't quite understand. They know they need it, but they're not sure how to go about it. And we may have to shift focus and say, SEO is very important. But before we do this, let's kind of look at your brand and make sure we get things right and do a little bit of research. So I would say 9 out of 10 times when somebody contacts us for SEO or maybe web design, a lot of times we'll get somebody that says, hey, can you put together a press release? And we're like, we're not sure you want the attention on your platform right now. Let's get a few things fixed before we really start to amplify those results.
Yeah, I like it very much because you're very deliberate. And a lot of times companies, they move too quick and they miss the mark. But in your particular case, you're very deliberate based on your background and experience, of course. And you ask the right questions to your clients because they need to understand what the right answers are, because you just can't close your eyes and throw a dart against a dartboard in this wild and woolly digital strategy and digital marketing space. It's really become much more involved and much more evolved based on, of course, a lot of data, a lot of information technology, and of course, background and experience of the people on the Platform Creator is very important as well, because you have already seen a lot of the things that people have done in the past, maybe not your clients, of course, where they do things wrong. And you and your team continually evolve and learn from that. And here you are with a lot of people calling you saying, hey, John, we need some help. Maybe they were working with another agency and another company and they didn't get the results that they needed. Now they reach out to you because they're really going to sort of a go-to expert. Let's talk about that. How often do we have companies that reach out to you and say, hey, John, what I'm doing right now is not working. I need a fresh look. I need somebody to come in and sort of rewire my digital strategy. How often does that happen at the company?
We normally get to it by the end of the first or second call. A lot of times it's just it's a problem that they know that they have. As we dig deeper, sometimes it's a lot worse and sometimes it's a lot better. They'll come to us and they already have a really good website presence, and it's like, yeah, you don't really need this. You just need a few tweaks, and let's maybe do like a brand workshop so that your team better understands what your strategy should be going forward. Another thing we're offering right now is a free website assessment. And what that is, it's a no obligation assessment. It's not just, hey, here's the top 10 things that are wrong with your site, but it does it from a technical perspective, from a strategic, and also evaluating your content. Sometimes you're coming out with all A's technically and strategically, but your content just needs some tweaks. And we send them on their way. And if they want our help fixing some of those things, great. If not, it's like, that's the end of the call. It's just a free website assessment. It's kind of our way of giving back. And we do get clients out of it. So it does benefit us as well. But that gives us pleasure helping people just kind of seeing the light of a few things they can do to fix their online presence.
Yeah, John, I love it so much. That's definitely a unique selling proposition. We talk about it all the time. I mean, this free analysis, not just from the technical standpoint, but also what's happening with your articles, what's happening with your blog, what's happening with your keywords. You give them a complete analysis. And of course, it gets them to think about what improvements they can make in their digital strategy. I really like that a lot. And thank you for doing that for the entrepreneurs throughout the world, John. That's a great thing that Platform Creator is currently doing. You mentioned SEO. Let's talk about it a little bit. You've got great experience in SEO. Where does SEO go from here? And talk about the ever evolving and changing dynamic of SEO throughout the years.
Sure. Yeah. We're not the all-powerful expert in everything SEO. We rely on other tools and other companies for our research. For example, we use SEMrush to do a lot of keyword research. There's great tools for websites. We primarily build WordPress websites. But we also seen that people make a lot of mistakes is they just buy all kinds, or they install all kinds of plugins for every little thing that they want instead of keeping it really lean and going with like really one good SEO plugin. They've also made some great strides in taking AI and putting that together with your SEO strategy. We use AI, but we do use it in a limited way. For example, we always come from a human perspective. We want to write in our own language, things that, for example, your customer, what are they going to say about your company? We want to get that language, the human language, and then we throw it into chat 4.0, and we get some additional content out of that. And we use that for strategy. So I think that there's a lot of great tools out there. Also, these tools are great for entrepreneurs that maybe don't have the money for a big digital platform. And this is where I love helping out, is that there's a lot of things you can do where you don't need a digital marketing company or a big ad agency to help you out. Chat can help you. GPT can help you write your content. There's some great plugins for websites that can help guide you so that you can get a better ranking from an SEO standpoint. SEMrush, a couple $100 a month, and you've got all these great tools at your disposal. And it makes working with somebody like us not necessary. Now, I'm okay saying that because a lot of people they're busy running their company. They're like, yeah, I can do it myself for a lot less, but we'd rather have you do it while I'm out there trying to build a business. And that's where, we don't worry about losing business to great tools, because they help the entrepreneurs, but those that are really focused on growth don't want to be in the weeds trying to do keyword research.
Yeah, that's so interesting you mentioned that, because entrepreneurs, John, are busy building their businesses, and certainly startup founders, small to mid-sized companies. The C-level executives, yeah, those tools are available, but if they don't have a, on-site digital strategist for those people to start getting involved with all those tools, they're going to take their eye off the business, because those tools are so robust. It takes probably, 10,000 hours just to learn how to use them. So it makes much more sense for them to reach out to an expert who has the tools to tell them what they need to do in very succinct and direct ways so that they can build the business. You spoke about brands, and I love brands. Everybody knows that watches the show. We talk about brands all the time and branding. When you have a customer reach out to you, John, and they talk about their brand, what are some of the things that you and your team look for to create a great brand for your clients?
If possible, we like to do brand workshops where we help them differentiate marketing, branding, and culture, and the importance of each to their business. We also help businesses define their culture and their core values. We also, through interviewing them and getting folks in a room too, help them develop the ideal target and the beliefs they must change in order for those targets to become customers. We talk about building a funnel and serving up the right content to get them from one level in the funnel to the next. And that's great. And we use those strategies, but really what it comes down to is your customer has to have a certain belief. There's something, they have a limiting belief where they're not making it from, this stage to the next, to where they're the ideal customer, to being a somebody who's, giving you referrals and things like that, the best kinds of customers. So if possible, you'd like to get in a brand workshop, either in person or on Zoom or any type of format that they prefer.
Yeah, John, I like it so much. And of course, you've created a very good team, a very excellent world-class team at Platform Creator. I want to talk about the team just for a minute, because, we have a good corporate culture. We have a great corporate culture. In your particular case, it's great, and the people love working there. When you put together your team, are you looking for people that have a mindset of help the customer at any cost? Or are you looking more for people that have technical attributions, or are you looking for both to join the team? What's most important to you for having somebody join your team at Platform Creator?
I think empathy is one word that comes to mind. Somebody who really wants to help. Of course, we've got to manage our expenses and how much time and money we put into each project. But really, that's kind of secondary. Even on the front end, if we go a month or two with a client, we're really not making money, but we know that we're building something great. We know that customer will be with us for a long, long time. We don't have long-term contracts unless the client, if they want a long-term contract, we can certainly put that into place. But normally it's a month to month. We don't want people to feel like they're locked in. But I think if there's a lot of effort into understanding the client, understanding their clients' clients, then I think in the long run, it's always going to be a win for them, and they'll continue on. A lot of our clients have been with us for many years. So I think that's important in a team. But we do have some folks that are just technical and they just have to solve certain issues. I mean, one area where we've really spent a lot of effort recently is on website security and making sure that we have the right tools, the right team to keep everything secure, because it's a lot harder to do that.
Yeah, we have the bad actors throughout the world, of course, that are targeting websites and even targeting social now and trying to get in through the back door, through the front door, through the side door, and really cause a lot of havoc. And, you know, if you have a great presence and you go through the system and your team puts together the great brand and the presence, then all of a sudden there's a hack or something that goes negative. That can be a real bowl of spaghetti to untangle, I guess. So yeah, so obviously that makes a lot of sense that you put that together for your clients as well and make sure they stay secure. And that's a great part of the platform, I guess I should say. Try and say that 3 times real quick. Now, I want to go back to the brand just for a minute. I want to have you talk a little bit to the younger entrepreneurs that are starting out, maybe giving a couple pointers on what to think about when they put their brand out into the world. But you do these brand workshops. They work out very well. You do them by Zoom, you do them in person or any other platform in which your clients or potential clients want you to engage. What are some potential pointers, John, you can give to the younger entrepreneurs about starting out, about thinking about, you know, how to build the brand in the right way?
Yeah, I think the temptation is, you know, what can I do to make money? You know, where, you know, there's a lot of low hanging fruit out there where you can, you know, build a website for cheaper than, you know, the next 10 companies or do SEO cheaper, but it's a race to the bottom. You may get some business initially. And I'm not saying don't start out that way, but really you got to look at what need is not being met out there. It's not about being cheaper, but I think young entrepreneurs also have a great advantage. A lot of them have the knowledge. They're willing to venture out and try new tools, discover new ways of doing things that are unique to serve to different businesses and nonprofits that need their help. And I think that finding a niche is always going to be better than trying to be everything to everybody. I think we got in a little bit of that ourselves, where we were trying to, yeah, we can do that. Oh, we can do that. And we added so many different things on that we kind of lost focus in on what's most important. And so I think that would be my advice, is try to find that need that's not being met, or maybe it's a service that's being provided, but you can do it a little bit better, or maybe in a little bit more detail, or a little bit more creatively, instead of just trying to be everything to everybody or being the cheapest. That is not a good long-term strategy.
Yeah, John, it makes all the sense in the world. And for the people watching the show, John and his team were self-aware enough as entrepreneurs to see that they started getting a little thinned out. They started spreading a little too thin, and John, as the leadership position, had to bring it back in. And that's a great story for entrepreneurs right there, because that happens often. Even the greatest businesses in the world sometimes go too thin, and then they've got to bring it back in and focus in. So, John, let's talk about content. You know, content is important. Here we are, we're doing our show, and, you know, video is very important these days. How important is the right content for clients of yours and potential clients watching the show?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of us have heard that content is king. That hasn't changed at all. And so I'm thankful that I'm not in charge of content. Not saying that I can't write a creative piece once in a while, but one of my business partners heads up our content department, and he's one of these guys that he's got new ideas every day, and he keeps his eye on the ball and his team on the ball of writing great content, but he's always trying to find new ways to get better and improve. And boy, it's just a blessing because you have to stand out. I mean, there's a technical way to write content. You have to do the keyword research and make sure that who is it for? Who's this content for? Making sure that you have the right keywords in there. But he tends not to want to focus as much on the keyword as just delighting customers and making sure that it's readable, because there's a lot of folks out there that are they're just trying to manipulate content for the search engines. And that's another race right to the bottom. It's not the way to go, and it's not, that piece of content is going to be very limited. So you have to write it for your ideal target instead of just trying to write it to manipulate clicks.
Yeah, John, it makes sense. And you said something that just resonates for me and is going to resonate for the people watching the show, is this focus that you and your team have on delighting your customer. That's what you said. Your content expert loves to delight your client or delight your customer. And that goes such a long way, because in today's fast-paced world of technology and AI and everything else that we throw on top of that, people forget that it's all about the customer. You need to be customer-centric. You need to be consumer-centric. And I know that's a big piece of what you do with your clients, is keep on reminding them that you have to be a king at delighting your customer, or a queen, of course. Now, John, let's talk a little bit about leads, because you do all this great work for your clients. They get this great presence. These leads start flowing in. It must be frustrating for a digital strategist to do all of these great digital strategies for a customer or for a client. You deliver all of these leads in, but the leads don't get taken care of or followed up on in a timely basis. What type of advice do you have to the people watching the show about getting on those leads and making sure that people really get good follow-up?
Yeah, you have to hit it from a lot of different angles. As I mentioned earlier, some folks want a better presence on social media. Others really don't have a good email marketing platform. Some people think that email is dead, and it's not, by no means. You really have to hit it from all angles so that you're top of mind. The share of voice out there is it's so competitive that I spent years in radio where we once said you have to have a frequency of at least 3 to 5. So you have to hit somebody 3 to 5 times for them to make a decision to call you or buy your product, or kind of that call to action. It is so much higher than that. I don't even know what the number is, but so it's helpful to have email follow-up, have a good social media presence, make sure the content is really rich, but also the client has to follow up. Sometimes you have to pick up the phone. Picking up the phone and calling. I don't see people doing that enough, but we'll have these lead forms filled out, and sometimes they'll go weeks without following up, and then it's lost. And so that is a frustration of mine. Believe me, I've been there before, where when I was in sales, where I didn't follow up quick enough, and somebody else got to it quicker. So,
yeah, very interesting. Of course, you'll appreciate this. Back in the day, we used to have a saying, pick up the phone, there's money on the line. And I think that's what we're talking about right now. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for bringing us inside Platform Creator. I'm not going to let you go until we talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. I was very excited, based on your background and experience, to talk about entrepreneurship and how to get better as an entrepreneur, because you've seen a lot. You've done some pivots, of course, in your own company. You saw once that you started to spread a little bit too far out, and then you brought it back in and focused and concentrated. And that's really the sign of a great entrepreneur. John, before I let you go, I want you to talk to the younger entrepreneurs watching the show today. Maybe they're having a tough time in their business. Maybe they're freezing in the frame. Maybe they don't know where to turn. Maybe they're getting a little freaked out, or they're starting to become uncomfortable, or maybe even a little disheartened. Maybe you could share some of your insight, some of your background, some of your experience to tell the younger entrepreneurs what it takes to keep on pushing during those difficult times.
yeah, oh no, it's tough. I think it's really important to get people around you who can be an encouragement to you. I mean, you do need people. You don't just need yes people that are going to tell you, yeah, everything you're doing is great. And, I mean, I can go to my parents and they're going to give me thumbs up all the time, but you need some critics in your life that are going to be honest, but you also need people around you that are going to be an encouragement to you. So if possible, try to find a mentor. Sometimes it's not, I mean, I encourage to meet one-on-one. If there's somebody locally you can meet with, there's plenty of business professionals, my age, younger, a little bit older, that would be happy to share insights. Reach out to somebody like me. I'm sure somewhere, Andy, you'll give my contact information, but I can certainly point you in the right direction, or we can hop on a call and I can see what it is that you're struggling with. But I think if you have a dream and you believe in it and you're providing a great service, don't give up. But maybe focus in on the things that are really where you're most skilled. And I'd say pour into those a little bit more and try to nurture that. I think that would be beneficial, but also getting people around you that can help out. And don't be afraid to send an email, or if you're on LinkedIn, just message somebody and say, hey, can you help me out with this? I noticed that, you're good. You've had success in this business. Success leaves clues. So find those people that are successful and reach out to them. A lot of times they'd be happy to share advice. Some of them won't, but keep persevering and reaching out. Pick up the phone or whatever you need to do to get that advice.
Wow, John, for the entrepreneurs watching this show, rewind what John just said. I mean, you don't need to watch TED Talks. You don't need to watch YouTube videos. If you're an entrepreneur, just that last couple minutes that John just said is pure gold. I mean, people want to help. People get very excited to help others. People want to mentor others. Like John says, some may not do it, but you'll be surprised how many people, if you reach out to them, will really try and help you and care about you as an individual. And that's the real key. You want to have mentors that care about you as a person, not just someone that can just give you sage advice. Because if you get the sage advice and they really care about you, that's the winning combination. John, this has been a great interview. I wanted to thank you so much for cutting some time out today to come on the .com magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight series today. Platform creator and your team, you're doing a great job. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, John's a humble guy, but he and his team are really right in the pocket. Their clientele have been with them for a long time. And that's one of the real keys to know if somebody's doing something right, because they don't have a lot of turnover in their clientele. And that's just remarkable. If you need a digital strategy, you need something that's going to really resonate and need help with your brand, or just need something different than what you currently have to empower your business, reach out to John. And John, I want to thank you so much for coming on the .com magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight series today.
Oh, thank you, Andy. And thanks to .com magazine. Happy to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.